Hi everyone, it's Lana from Homebirth South Africa. Hi Ruth.
And Ruth from Homebirth South Africa as well.
And today we are recording a session with Azeta Van Niekerk, who is based in Cape Town. And yeah, she contacted us wanting to share her amazing stories for our This is Homebirth campaign. And so Azeta is a mom to three children. She is an avid homemaker, a homesteader, homeschooler, and plant enthusiast and grower. And yeah, we're really looking forward to getting your stories, Azeta.
Thank you for inviting me. Well, I guess I should start at when I found out I was pregnant for the first time with Katya. I was 24 the previous week before I found out I was pregnant. I was actually at a trance party. So very much not in the mindset of starting a family. I was really scared and I really looked to my elders for advice. And I wanted a home birth, and everybody was like, "Are you insane? No, just listen to us. We know what's best. We've been through this." And then I got a contact from a friend who had a birth through this really well-known gynecologist, and he's really old and he's done many births. So I thought if I wanted a natural birth, he would be my best bet. So I made an appointment, still longing for a home birth, but I settled. I was just like, this is the best I can do. Like, I'm unemployed, I'm on medical aid. I should just be happy with what's happening. So then inside me, I knew birth was supposed to be ideally not only a change in physical, but change in spiritual as well. So, but every time I had these conversations with other people or other mothers, they would be like, get ready for your dignity to be stripped. Just get ready. It's not this fairy tale you playing in your head. And I'm like, surely like birth is supposed to be amazing the first time you're meeting this human you've been carrying. So I started going to the gynae, and just every time I went to an appointment and I mentioned I really want a natural birth, no meds, nothing, you'd be like, ha 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 ha, that doesn't happen. Like, we don't do no meds, we'll see how it goes. And I just felt so unheard and not the most important person in the room, even though I'm growing the baby, doing everything, and I'm supposed to be going into birth, but just like my opinions didn't matter. He kept telling me, you can have this thought now, but when you have your second child and you come to me, you're going to be walking in backwards asking, doctor, please give me an epidural. And I was just like, but that's not me. I don't want that. So my ideas just kept getting pushed aside. And also it was so impersonal. Like, I'm trusting this person with my baby and my life. And he was just like, oh, who are you again? Oh, okay. And it was just like a 5-minute, it was just nothing that I expected birth was supposed to be, or labor, or pregnancy. And then I think I was 38 weeks, or now I was 36 weeks, and he let me know around about my due date, he's going on a family holiday. And I just need to prepare myself that he might not be here. And I don't know if he was expecting me to be hurt. I was just like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry. And then at my 38-week appointment, he was like, oh, your blood pressure is super high. oh, we're gonna need to do what's it called? Induction. And do you want baby born tonight or tomorrow? And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, my baby's in distress. Like, what does he mean? They need to take it out. Like, I thought I still had 2 weeks of chilling. And on the websites, they say like you could go overdue. Like, I was not mentally prepared. And I'm panicking. And he's just so calm, like, so it's going to be tonight or tomorrow that we're going to deliver your baby. And then I was like, okay, no, I need to digest this. Can we do it tomorrow? And then went in the early next morning, and I was still like really panicky about my blood pressure. And then I asked the nurse, after I took my induction pills, I asked her, please check my blood pressure because I'm a bit stressed about that. And she was like, wow, no, why are you stressed? Your blood pressure is perfect. Like, I don't know, why are you going on? You shouldn't stress when you're pregnant. And I felt so cheated because immediately I knew he forced this so that he could get like my birth out of the way so that he could do his family vacation in New Zealand or Switzerland. So then it was just, the induction was just extremely audible. I didn't feel mentally prepared. My body didn't feel prepared. And it was just so hard and so fast. And there was almost no breather in between not being in labor to being in active labor immediately. And then like I was just so upset like while I was in labor because I knew what was happening. And it was like I had no control over the situation. And then I gave it led to unnecessary C-section. It was like 5 p.m. And also he came at 3 o'clock and there was another lady having an induction and he was like, she's done already. Like she gave birth, like you gotta hurry up now. And then 5 o'clock came down and he was like, no, I'm only staying till 6 o'clock. So that means you're gonna have to do a C-section. So I did the C-section and you elated, you have this baby, and just all that negativity flew out of the window after I saw my daughter. Like I was just in a love bubble with her. But then afterwards, my healing process was so difficult. I just felt like I was robbed of something and I didn't know what I was robbed of. I just knew I missed something. So yeah, like my healing process, I healed beautifully physically. I felt a lot of anger. And I think I had like a bit of a breakdown when Katio was about 6 months. And it was actually me and my husband. And I told him like I felt like he wasn't in my corner. Like every time they came to do interventions, I couldn't really speak because I was in so much pain. And I was expecting him to be like, that's not what was on a plan. Like, but he just rolled with the punches on the day. And I understand like he was also 24. We don't really know what's happening. But I told him like I just needed somebody to speak up for me. And then I told him like I'm really angry. And next time we have a baby, like I'm not even going to discuss you. Like there's not going to be a discussion. I'm just having a home birth. And if you don't agree with it, you can go somewhere else when I give birth. But I'm doing it. Like nobody's going to change my mind. I just know it's the right thing. And then ever since, it's weird, like I was always looking for the acceptance outwardly, but I didn't know I needed to be inside, like assured for other people to accept my decision. So once I like made that decision, claimed my body, claimed my birth, I was just like, nobody's going to talk me out of it. And literally everybody else was like, okay, we're on board. So when Katya was about 15 months, I found out I was pregnant again. And there was like, we didn't even look at hospitals. It wasn't even a question now. We just went straight into finding a midwife. And then I think I got into contact with a midwife in Cape Town, and then she gave me a recommendation to find my own midwife. And I had an appointment with her, and then she was the first person I had an appointment with. And when we left, me and my husband were like, she's the one, eh? Like, we're not going to have any other appointments. Like, that's her, we found her. So pregnancy was amazing because I loved the connection you make with a midwife. Like, it's not you a number, you're just somebody else that's having an appointment with you. And it was just getting to know somebody on a personal level and building that trust during pregnancy for like the finale. And I loved having appointments at my house as well. I love my house, so I never want to leave it. And yeah, I really loved the pregnancy part of it. And then when labor actually happened, I really did have a fairy tale in my head because labor was nothing compared to what I was expecting. He was also sunny side up, so I had a lot of back labor. And yeah, it was really excruciating. But the way labor happens on such a gradual level, it's almost like your mind can follow it. Like you can get your head around what is happening. And it's such a gradual pace that, yeah, there was no like losing yourself in the process. And when I started reaching active labor, I started noticing like I really struggled following conversations around me. Like it was almost like my mind, I was in a different dimension. I wasn't here. And it was so nice being in that dimension. But as soon as I was pulled back, it was like panic, like, oh my God, is this okay? Is this what's happening? And then after my active labor, I started feeling fetal ejection fur. And I wasn't expecting it. So when he crowned, it happened like really fast. He was out in like 2-3 pushes. And I didn't really even push, like my body did everything after that. And it was amazing. The hormones afterwards, like it's indescribable how you feel after you go through labor. It's just almost like a testament of your love for somebody you've never ever met. And then you actually meet this person and it's like you forget everything around you. You forget the pain. Nothing matters anymore besides a small little baby. And was such an amazing experience after having like such a traumatic first birth. It was very healing. And yeah, like I really, really enjoyed my second birth. And then we found out I was pregnant again. And after my second birth, I did like a doula course because I was really into birth after that. Like I was like, I need to help other women. Like we need to all get together and birth together after this, because if it's like such a hidden secret, and I almost felt like, why is this not taught in school? Like when we learn about our period, we should learn about carrying a baby and what's expected. Like I felt duped about the information. I had to like go to meetings and do so much research and find like vlogs and blogs about it. And it's just not information readily available. So yeah, after I did my doula course, and then I did a couple of births in government hospital, and then that traumatized me also on another level, because I didn't even know that government hospital is so much more worse than what's happening in private hospital. And then I didn't even want to do doulating anymore after that, because I just felt it was almost taking pieces away from me, witnessing what is happening around, and it's just so normalized. So I did my doula course, and then we found out I was pregnant again. And then I was also doing a lot of research about free birth, and I was like, oh my God, this is my chance. I'm going to free birth this baby. I like to create fairy tales, it seems. So, yeah, so I found out I was pregnant again, and I had a completely wild pregnancy. I didn't go to any appointments, didn't go to any checkups. And it felt very natural. Like I never ever felt like I was being unsafe. I was doing it very much body leading and baby leading with this whole pregnancy. And then when it came down to actually giving birth, like I think 2 weeks before my due date, my husband was like, are you sure you want to do this, like the whole free birth? Because he was feeling a bit scared. And then I was like, don't you dare put your fear on me, because I'm not feeling scared. And then afterwards we're just like, okay, let's just call our midwife, and we're gonna let her know what we're planning. And if we feel like we need her, we give her a call when we're in labor. And was literally, I started laboring at home. And my husband kept telling me, okay, tonight's the night. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. It's Braxton next. Don't worry, don't worry. And then he was like, but this looks like your previous birth. Like, I think we should call Lana to let her know what is happening. And then, so after I started doing active labor, I was just like, okay, give her a call and let her know what's happening. And then, when I was in active labor, I completely bailed on the free birth, the free birth thing. And I was just like, I need her, like, please get her here. And then also this birth completely different to my first natural birth. I was expecting fur didn't happen at all. Like, I actually had a cervical lip and I was struggling to crown. And then my midwife recommended this amazing position. Like, I was feeling excruciating pain, like even worse pain than was normal for labor. And there was no breaks in between my contractions. So I knew, like, it's not going to plan. And then she recommended this position where my bum is off the bed, but my back is arched onto the bed. And was like immediate relief after that. Like, I could feel my pelvis open, and I could actually feel his head descend. And it was literally, I think, 5 pushes in that position, and he was out. And it's just so incredible, where if I was in hospital, it would have been like immediate emergency, wheel me to the theater. And so I thought that was incredible. And then no fetal ejection. I really wish it was really nice with the first birth to have that. And but I felt very powerful pushing a baby out of me. So 2 different experiences with the births. And then then I fell pregnant again, 2022. And then we weren't too happy with it was so unplanned and was so unexpected, and I was doing everything natural to try to prevent another pregnancy. But it was almost like we just accepted it, and we were just like, okay, this is happening. Like, we're just gonna go through with it and accept what happened, and love this baby like we love our other 3 children. And then I thought I was about 2 months, but I was actually a bit further along than what I thought. But I think I got really, really sick. I'm not sure with what, but I've never been that sick before. And I felt very, very weak. And then with that pregnancy, I was also vomiting. I've never vomited like that in my life with any of my pregnancies. It was just like every 15 minutes, I had to have a bucket next to me and I was just throwing up the whole time. So then I got some pills that helped a little bit from clicks with the vomiting. But then I got really, really sick and my body just felt very weak. And after the week I was sick, I just started feeling mild cramping. And I immediately knew that I was about to have a miscarriage. And I messaged my midwife and she was like, yeah, you got to prepare. It's probably going to be a miscarriage. And it was like, I was sick or I was getting better. And then all the kids were also sick. So there was nowhere really to take them. So I had to watch them. And then it was also like a week where my husband took off the entire week to look after all of us. So he had to go into work that day. So I had no support at all. And I was just like, okay, I'm just going to do it alone. And the kids I'll just put on movies for them for the day. And then I was laboring at home. And I wasn't expecting, because my mind just thought, it's smaller than a full-term baby. It's not going to be as painful as a full-term baby labor. But it was also just as bad as a normal labor. And that took me unexpectedly because I wasn't expecting that. And then, yeah, my kids luckily they were so involved in their movie that they really weren't paying attention to me. And I was like moaning and groaning during the week because I was sick. So they didn't really pay attention to me. And then the moment I felt like I'm going to give birth now, I looked over and all 3 of them were sleeping and was like miraculous. They were all, because I really didn't want them to witness what was going to happen. And then, yeah, I took down my pants and yeah, I birthed my baby boy. And I just sat with him for a couple of minutes. I'm not even sure how long. I just sat with him and I said my goodbyes. And he was bigger than what I was expecting. Like, because I did a bit of Googling before while it was happening, he was like, I really thought it was just like a tiny little fetus was going to come out and I could go baby that. But I was shocked at how full term he looked, but he was just tiny. And it made the process almost a bit easier because there was something to hold and to say goodbye to and to Betty. And then, yeah, it was really, really difficult. And I also felt a lot of guilt for not appreciating the pregnancy when it happened. I wasn't welcoming, and I blamed myself a lot for what happened. And then, yeah, we buried him in our garden. And my husband also, he had a really difficult time. And I wasn't expecting him to have a difficult time, but it was hard. Yeah, it was just a really hard process. And then this year we found out again that we were pregnant, and I was really happy. I was this time we were very welcoming. We're like, it's gonna be different. I didn't even think, like, I just thought what happened last year was a one-time thing and it wouldn't happen again, because I've had 3 healthy pregnancies. It was just like something went wrong. And so yeah, like, we immediately booked a midwife. We're super excited. I was like packing out the old baby blankets, like we're preparing the house already. And I was literally, I think, about 6 weeks. And then I think when I was about 8 weeks, the same process started again, cramping. And I also immediately knew, like, when it started. And then I messaged a couple of my friends and they were like, don't think like that. Like, you shouldn't immediately think that it's a miscarriage. Like, have faith. And I just knew, like, it's going to happen again. And then I messaged my midwife. My husband, luckily my husband could take off work. The family knew that I was pregnant already. So when I was having a miscarriage, I had people to watch over my kids. So it was a much more private, intimate miscarriage than my last year's miscarriage. And this time around, I was too early to really see anything. I could only really see my placenta when it came out. Yeah, there was nothing really, I wasn't far long enough to actually see anything. And I was really not looking forward to seeing another baby. But when it didn't happen, it took me by surprise that I struggled a lot with that, because there was nothing to hold and nothing to say goodbye to. It was almost like it didn't happen. So that I struggled a lot with that. But we had another burial in our garden. And yeah, it's just, I don't know what's happening at the moment, but we're just gonna, I think I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing your stories with, just such rawness and honesty. And yeah, particularly around the miscarriages at home. I mean, I'm sure you yourself have heard other women's experiences, with having to have miscarriages at home or, at hospital, and the contrast to what that's like. I mean, can you share maybe why it never crossed your mind to sort of seek to have the miscarriage in hospital? I mean, I'm sure I know the answer, but yeah.
So it actually surprised me after I had my miscarriages, and when I started speaking to my friends about it, how many other people had miscarriages, and I just didn't know. And it's such a, I don't want to say it's seems like such a shameful thing, because I didn't understand why. I didn't know why my best friend had a miscarriage or my neighbor had a miscarriage. Like, it seems such a hidden thing in society, and I was quite taken aback by that. But yeah, coming back to your question, I didn't even consider going to hospital. I trusted my body to understand the process that it's gonna go through. I didn't think I needed any help. And yeah, I just had complete full faith in what the process was gonna do and my body was gonna do. And I didn't think it was necessary. It was a really sad thing for me to go through. It's really emotional, and I didn't want it to turn into something clinical. I didn't want anybody's hands in me after what my body has been through. I wanted time to mourn what I lost, and I also couldn't fathom handing over my baby to somebody else where it was going to be discarded in the bin. Like I can't even imagine doing that. And it was something that I needed. And it's weird because miscarriage is way more bloodier than actual birth is. It's a lot more messier, lots of blood clots. And I think it reflects so much, the physical reflects so much what is happening inside as well. Yeah, it's not something pretty, but it's also something that you can learn so much about. Like, I understand emotionally and spiritually why I would have to go through something like this. It just opens you up in a different way, and expansion is always better than not growing.
Sure. I just want to really appreciate, you taking us through all your stories, because they each one seem to have been such powerful teachers for you, but also through your sharing, I think each one just carries such a powerful nugget. Yeah, but going back to the miscarriage piece, I mean, I think you spoke just now about how it's almost this taboo subject, or this something, it's like this unspoken, and when it's happening to you, you don't know, like there's almost a shame piece to it because it's unspoken. And so there's this thing of like, why is this happening to me, not knowing that your neighbor, like so many women have experienced this. And so, I mean, in the beginning you were speaking about how how you wish that how birth could be was part of your sex education, or part of just your general reproductive health education. And I suppose miscarriage should be part of that. Like, how do we actually honor in society, or how do we, because it was interesting, because it's definitely a cultural thing, or a very Western thing, because, and I see that a lot, like, oh, we didn't want to tell anybody we were pregnant because we weren't 12 weeks yet, and so there's this like hiding the pregnancy because for the fear of losing the child. And then, but we were talking about it in an international group recently, and it was she's Latin American, and she was saying in her culture, you share that you're pregnant, and if there's a loss, everybody grieves with you, because that's part of pregnancy. Like, there's an understanding that might be part of the process, and that you don't go through it alone emotionally. But I suppose my question to you around this is, because I've been seeing about sacred miscarriage as well, like how do we, I suppose, create a sharing or a better understanding of like how women can honor this for themselves in the same way as they would their births when this does happen. Like, what are your thoughts on that? I'd love to hear.
How we could better share if it happens.
Better share, but also just honor it for ourselves. I mean, so I suppose it's a twofold question. So one is like, how do we have a better understanding of this, just societally? I suppose it's, through people like you sharing on this platform is one way. But also, if this does happen, like, how can we honor ourselves in the like, it's not just something that has to happen and then we keep it hidden and we get on with our lives. Like, how do we honor ourselves when this happens, Yeah.
So personally, I felt the burial ceremony was really helpful for me, because I didn't even consider it, but when I birthed the baby, I was just like, oh, what am I supposed to do with this now? Like the Google says, like, you can just flush it down the toilet, but how could you ever consider doing that? So I knew that I needed to bury whatever came out of me. And then my husband thought I was a bit strange, and he was just like, you do what you need to do to heal. And then also after the miscarriage, I didn't want to see anybody. Like there was a few friends who wanted to come over, and I just didn't want to see anybody. And a few friends that were moms, they were like, yeah, that's fine, totally fine. but I'm just going to send you a care package. So they'll just send me teas and cookies and just things for myself. And I treated it like I gave birth as well to a live baby. I stayed in bed. I let my body process it, also my mind process it. I didn't rush myself to just continue my day-to-day life at all. And with the kids, their dad just kept telling them, like, mom's not okay at the moment. And they were so understanding, like they didn't need any other explanation. And my daughter would like wake up early and go down to make some oats for her and her brothers. And then I would stay in bed for like another hour before I would get up and do something else for them. And then I would homeschool from my bed as well. Like I treated it as if I gave birth to a live baby, because there was also like the shock response to my body where I started producing milk, and it was like all these little things and reminders that reminds you that you don't have a baby to take care of. So it's a lot of mentally processing it, but I am interested in also having a closing ceremony, and just to bind my body back together, because even with normal birth, it feels like you ripped open completely, not only in the physical aspect, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, everything is just completely open. And I think in Chinese tradition, it's considered the time where you can get sick the quickest, because you're so open, anything can come into you. So that's why it's like considered normal to have 40 days laying in after you give birth. They also do body binding. So I definitely think I'm interested in doing also a closing ceremony for my body until we decide if we're going to try again.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, the closings that we have been part of for, definitely it can be just such a nourishing way of honoring your miscarriages as well. It really does mark sort of a significant event in your life, and it can be incredibly powerful and healing as part of your recovery after each miscarriage, and certainly of birth, because miscarriages are births, and they come with exactly the same amount of emotional, physical, spiritual impact and recovery as a live birth does. And look, there's definitely far more awareness of it at this time in our life, but we also just live in a world where it's that places more value in women looking and seeming as though, even though they have given birth or had children, that it mustn't appear that way either. Yeah. So yeah, just Azeta, do you have anything in closing just to share around, because your experience of, wanting an HBAC is sort of against what is medically advised. And anything else that you've, as your work as a doula and having had these miscarriage experiences, is there anything that you would want women to take away from your experiences?
I would want women to know that as much as we believe that the experts of birth are in hospitals, that's not what I believe today. Like, I don't think the experts of birth, especially in such a patriarchal system where I don't even think that men should enter a birth room. Like, I think it should be reclaimed back to women. And just trust your body. Like, I had completely no faith in my body. And then after going through somebody that also didn't have faith in my body, I just needed to reclaim it for myself. And I don't know, like, once you have that trust in yourself, it also relates, or it corresponds also with your instincts as well. When it came to motherhood, I would have these instincts of, oh, I don't think I should vaccinate my baby. Like, I don't think I should put those chemicals in my body. And everybody else was like, are you crazy? Don't do things that have been researched. And then I didn't do it. And I'm so happy that I didn't do it. And then also, yeah, like, I don't question anything when it comes to what my inner voice is telling me. Like, I think it's a beautiful thing when you can live your life trusting exactly what you want to do and how you want to live your life. I also think it's really important to give natural birth. Like, I know it's just so normalized, the surgery aspect of it, and like 70% of South African women usually have cesareans. And I just think it's such an important milestone as a woman to go through birth. Like, don't be afraid of it. It's amazing.
Wow. Thank you so much. I feel like we could just continue to have this conversation with you. I really love your energy and what you have to share, and your smile and your beauty. And just thank you. Thank you so much for making the time in your full life, because you are a homeschooler. I remember that. So the fact that you've done this and it was only interrupted once is a miracle. So yeah, many blessings, and yeah, big gratitude for your share.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share. I really appreciate the space.